What if every word you spoke changed the future? Meet Kofi, a child whose words come true.
With dangerous consequences. He predicts a storm, and the village is struck with chaos.
What happens when a child's words shape the future? Watch now.
Imagine a world where every word you speak has the power to reshape reality. A world where the fate of those around you is held in the palm of your hand, and where the slightest slip of the tongue could bring either blessings or devastation. Now, picture this. A 3-year-old child, innocent and full of life, discovers that every word he utters comes true. At first, it seems like a playful game, a harmless quirk, but soon, the village begins to tremble under the weight of his predictions. The rain falls when he speaks of it. The lion roars when he says it's coming, and the world shifts in ways no one could have ever imagined. Kofi is no ordinary boy. He has a gift, a curse perhaps, that no one can control. As the future dances at the tip of his tongue, Kofi must decide, will he use his power to protect those he loves, or will his words destroy the very people he wants to save? This is the story of Kofi, the boy who spoke the future and the price he paid for the gift of knowing what's to come. If this is your first time coming across our video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. In the heart of a small African village, nestled between the rolling hills and the vast savanna, there lived a boy named Kofi. At just 3 years old, Kofi was no ordinary child. His eyes, bright as the midday sun, sparkled with an intelligence far beyond his tender age. But there was something far more extraordinary about him, something that set him apart from every other child in the village. From the moment Kofi learned to speak, the world around him began to shift. The first time he uttered a word, his mother, Adama, had no idea the chain of events it would set in motion. "Mama," Kofi said with a giggle as he played with his toys, "tomorrow it will rain." Adama smiled, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. "Oh, Kofi, you're just being playful," she said, her voice warm and comforting. But the very next day, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and by afternoon, the heavens opened. It poured in torrents, flooding the village and forcing the villagers to seek shelter. Adama stood at the door, her mouth agape, watching as the rain continued to fall, just as Kofi had predicted. It was only the beginning. As the days passed, Kofi's words began to take on an eerie power. He would say things that would happen, often with stunning accuracy. "I see the tall man with the blue shirt coming to visit today," Kofi would announce with a wide grin. And sure enough, a visitor in a blue shirt would appear at their doorstep. At first, Adama thought it was merely coincidence. Children often said strange things after all. But the incidents kept happening. Kofi's predictions were not just idle chatter, they were becoming facts. The village elders took notice. People began whispering about the child with the strange gift. Some believed it was a blessing from the gods. Others feared it was a curse, something that could bring disaster upon them. Yet no one could deny the truth. Kofi's words had power. One day, as Kofi played in the yard with his friends, he pointed to the sky and said, "The lion will visit the village soon." The other children giggled nervously. "Lions don't come near the village," one of them said. "You're just making up stories, Kofi." But as the sun dipped below the horizon, a loud roar echoed through the village. The ground trembled beneath their feet. A majestic and fearsome lion emerged from the forest. The villagers scattered in panic, but it was clear Kofi's words had once again come to life. Adama's heart pounded in her chest. She had witnessed enough to know that Kofi's gift was not a gift at all. It was a burden, a curse that would bring danger and uncertainty to their peaceful village. But what could she do? How could she stop her child from speaking the words that shaped reality itself? As the days passed, the village was no longer a place of comfort and calm. Every word that Kofi spoke felt like a ticking bomb, each one capable of shifting the very course of their lives. He began to realize the immense power he held. With each utterance, the world bent to his will. One morning, as the villagers gathered in the town square, Kofi stood up on a rock and said, "I see fire in the village today. A great fire will burn." The villagers froze in terror. Fire had not touched the village in years. It was unthinkable. And yet, the fear in their eyes grew as they looked toward the horizon. where dark smoke was already beginning to rise. Kofi, sensing the dread that had fallen over the crowd, tried to take it back. "I'm sorry," he said, his small voice trembling. But it was too late. The fire had started, and as if answering Kofi's words, it spread quickly, devouring the fields and homes of the villagers. Adama rushed to Kofi's side, her face pale. "Kofi, you must not say things like that. Do you understand? You have to control what you say." But how could he? Kofi could see the future, hear the echoes of things to come. It wasn't his fault. He didn't ask for this power. And yet, as each day passed, the weight of it grew heavier on his tiny shoulders. As the villagers continued to live in fear, a stranger arrived in the village. He was an old man with a long white beard and a cane made of gnarled wood. His eyes were sharp, though his body was frail. He had heard whispers of Kofi's gift, and he knew that the child was not just a simple boy. He was the key to something much greater. The old man sought out Kofi and his mother, finding them sitting under a tree in the village square. "You are the one who speaks the future, little one," he said, his voice low and mysterious. Kofi stared up at the old man, his heart racing. "A prophecy?" The old man nodded. "Yes, but you must learn to control it, for if you do not, it will destroy you and all who are around you. The words you speak are not just mere predictions, they are fate. And fate, young one, is a powerful thing." Kofi learns to navigate his newfound power, facing not only external challenges, but also the internal struggle of mastering his words. Each new prediction he makes would lead to consequences that would either help or harm the village. Along the way, Kofi would face opposition, enemies who want to control his power, and moments of doubts that would force him to question whether speaking the truth is always the right choice. He will face moral dilemmas, whether to speak to prevent a disaster or remain silent and allow things to unfold as they will. With every word he speaks, the stakes get higher, and the tension between fate and free will grows stronger. As Kofi's journey unfolds, so too will the journey of the village, which begins to understand the true nature of power, choice, and responsibility. As the days went by, Kofi began to understand the weight of the gift and the curse that had been placed upon him. He could no longer speak casually or joke around with his friends. Every word he uttered had the potential to alter the very fabric of reality. One day, as the village gathered for a festival, Kofi stood quietly by the fire, watching the dancers and the celebrations. His mother, Adama, approached him, concern written all over her face.
"Kofi," she said softly, "you've been quiet today. You haven't spoken much. I'm proud of you for trying to control it." Kofi looked up at her with eyes full of uncertainty. "But Mama, I'm scared. What if I say something wrong? What if I cause more harm?" Adama knelt down beside him, taking his small hand in hers. "Kofi, you must learn that words have power, but so does silence. Sometimes saying nothing is just as important as saying something." Kofi nodded, the burden of responsibility heavy on his heart. He had seen too many things come true, things he had never intended to speak. The villagers had become wary of him, hesitant to be around him for fear of what he might say. It wasn't just a gift anymore, it was a weight he wasn't sure he could carry. Later that evening, as the stars twinkled above and the village settled into a peaceful quiet, Kofi found himself standing alone by the edge of the forest. The whispers of the trees seemed to call to him, urging him to speak, to voice the thoughts that swirled in his mind. But he remained silent. In the distance, he heard the faint sound of footsteps. Turning, he saw a figure approaching, a tall man in a robe, his face shadowed by the moonlight. The old man, the one who had spoken to him before, was back. "You have been avoiding your words, Kofi," the old man said, his voice filled with both pity and understanding. "But silence is not the answer. You must learn to balance your words with your actions. Only then will you understand the true nature of your gift." Kofi swallowed hard. "I don't want to hurt anyone. Every time I speak, something happens. What if I speak the wrong thing? What if I make things worse?" The old man stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with wisdom. "You fear the power of your words because you do not understand them. But your words are not the end. They are a part of something much greater. You must learn to listen as much as you speak,
The world does not move because of words alone, Kofi. It moves because of the intentions behind them. Kofi stood silently, the weight of the old man's words sinking in. He had been so focused on controlling his speech that he had forgotten the most important lesson of all: intention. The next day, Kofi sat beneath the tree where he often played, deep in thought. He had decided that today he would try something different. Instead of speaking, he would listen to the wind, to the birds, to the rustling leaves. He would try to feel the world around him without imposing his own thoughts upon it. As he sat in stillness, the villagers went about their daily routines. The marketplace bustled with activity, the sounds of bargaining filling the air. The aroma of cooking wafted through the village. But Kofi remained silent, watching, listening. It wasn't long before a group of villagers gathered around him. They had heard of his ability to predict the future and were eager to know what would happen next. "Kofi," one of the men called out, "tell us what you see. Will the harvest be good this year? Will the rains come?" Kofi looked at the faces around him, their eyes filled with hope and expectation. He could feel the weight of their desires pressing down on him. They were waiting for him to speak, to give them the answers they sought. But Kofi had learned something that day. He had learned that his silence could be as powerful as his words. He stood up and walked toward the group, shaking his head gently. "I cannot speak of what I do not know," he said quietly. "The future is not mine to control. It is shaped by all of us, by our actions, by our hearts, and by the choices we make." The villagers fell silent, their faces a mix of confusion and awe. They had expected him to predict the future, to tell them what was to come. But Kofi's words were different. They were a reminder that the future was not a fixed path, but a journey shaped by everyone's choices. Adama, who had been watching from a distance, smiled with pride. Kofi had finally understood that his gift was not just about speaking the future, it was about helping others understand the power of their own choices. As time went on, Kofi's reputation as the boy who spoke the future grew, but he no longer feared his gift. He had learned that words, while powerful, were not the only way to shape the world. His actions, his intentions, and his ability to listen to others became just as important. Kofi grew older, and as he did, the village began to change. The people learned to take responsibility for their own actions, to speak their own truth, and to trust in the power of their collective will. They no longer looked to Kofi for answers, they looked within themselves. One day, the old man returned to the village. He found Kofi standing by the same tree, now a young boy, no longer burdened by the weight of his gift. "You have learned well, Kofi," the old man said with a smile. "You have understood the true nature of your power. It is not in the words you speak, but in the heart that speaks them." Kofi smiled, his heart light. "I have learned that the future is not just in my hands, it is in the hands of everyone. And together, we shape it with every word, every action, and every choice." Years passed, and Kofi became a wise leader in the village. His gift was no longer a source of fear or awe. It had become a reminder of the power of words, the importance of responsibility, and the strength of community. He had learned that while he could speak the future, it was the choices of the people around him that truly determined their path. And in that, he found peace. The village flourished, not because of Kofi's words, but because of the unity and strength of its people, who had learned to speak and act with intention. And Kofi's legacy lived on, not in the predictions he made, but in the lives of those he had inspired to choose their words and their actions wisely. Kofi's story teaches us that while words have incredible power, it is the intention behind those words that shapes our future. Silence, too, has its place. And sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is listen. In the end, it is not the future that controls us, but the choices we make today. Thanks for staying till end. I hope you learned something today. Please don't forget to like and share. See you next time.